Yo, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Emerson here, back at it again with another video. As you can see, today's video is going to be what if Kafka Hibino had a leveling system. I have really been enjoying Kaiju number 8, and I haven't seen anybody make any specific what if videos on it, so I thought I would just try giving it a shot and see how it does. If you guys do enjoy this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave some comments down below on any other Kaiju number 8 videos that you guys would like to see, because obviously I don't have too many ideas on deck right now. I really just wanted to kind of just give this specific idea because it is a fairly easy idea to do, and there's not really much thought that I have to be putting into this. So please give me your thoughts and please enjoy the video. This what if begins off the day that Reno Ishikawa would join into the Monster Cleaner Inc. He would still end up meeting Kafka the exact same way, and the only reason that I'm starting it on this day because everything else would have gone the exact same way. There is literally not a change whatsoever. So as soon as they would actively be introduced to one another, everything would go the exact same way. They would both still have intestines duty, and that entire day would go the exact same up until the Yoju would show up. This time around, when the Yoju shows up, Kafka would basically almost be to the brink of death by the time that anybody would come over to save him. Obviously, Reno and anybody else, like Reno Ishikawa, would still come around, just help him and just try saving him, so they still have that kind of bond. But Kafka would basically be on his last limbs. It would literally be to the point where he gets the system right there telling him that you will die in 5 seconds if you don't take this. He would obviously accept, and by the time that he would wake up, he would be inside the hospital. It would have taken him a little while to get kind of patched up, but he would have already noticed that he sees something that says welcome player, and he sees these daily tasks that he has to do. 100 push-ups, sit-ups, and the 10-kilometer run. He would, or the basic things that some Sungjin Woo saw the exact same of. So that's exactly what he would start doing. He would just obviously start doing those, do them one day or whatever. If he fails, he would be sent into the penalty zone the same way that Sungjin Woo is, and just kind of be running for his life for the next 4 or 5 hours or some things, and then eventually come back and figure out that he got into gots to do it per day and make sure that he doesn't just screw around anything. Obviously, this would make a little big difference because he's not going to become Kaiju number 8 in this storyline. He's just going to have the leveling system, because I didn't really see a need to give him both, because that kind of just breaks the entire point of the story, and it just kind of makes him overpowered for literally no reason whatsoever. But from the day that he would actively wake up to the day that around 3 months later, when they would be entering into the entirety of the defense agency, and getting actively trying out for that, Kafka would be doing his training every single day, gaining his strength and all of his abilities fairly the same way that Sungjin Woo was able to, in the same time span. And since he has literally around 3 months to completely just train, his strength and abilities would be quite a bit higher than anything like Sungjin Woo, because I don't know and remember how much time he actually just allotted to the training time before he went back to normal. So after that, he would literally just be training as normal, doing all of that thing, and by the time that we would get started, he would basically look like a completely different person. He would have gone from his normal Kafka-esque body to now a very toned, muscular person that looks like he's been training for a good long while. Obviously, it's still the same Kafka that everybody knows, but it's not going to be anything along those lines of, oh, he is just this completely new personality, new things, new that, and anything crazy like that. On the day of the Defense Force actual tryouts, when they would make it to Tachikawa base, it would relatively go the exact same way. The girl would still come around telling Kafka that he needs to move his car due to the fact that her lucky number today is 5, and he is sitting in, he's parked in the 55th spot, as she would still just grab the car, move it over, and just kind of throw it over. And this time around, Kafka, being quite a bit stronger and still being relatively strong, would just pick up his car fairly easily and just set it right back down without any big problems. This would cause kind of the exact same reaction as it did in Ken, because he does have this very decent strength, but now it's not that he has to hide it anymore, so he actually will be able to do quite a bit better in terms of any of the actual exams for this time around. After this, Kafka and Kikoru would just kind of go their separate ways, kind of still giving their names to each other because he is fairly strong. So there was like still that, oh yeah, I want to see what you can do, or the same kind of thing that they had in Canyon. But when it comes to anything where him and Reno are just talking about the fact that there's going to be the physical and the actual regular portion of the exam, since the regular portion of the exam and like the aptitude portion of the exam is a wild card and they don't really know what that is, they would just be trying to focus on trying to get as many points for the physical portion of the exam as they can. And this time around, Kafka wouldn't just do an absolute stinker. He would probably most likely get in the top like 4 or 5 places. I'm not going to say he gets number 1, but he would probably get top 4 or 5, and if he most likely would be closer to like top 3 due to how much training that he's been doing, and I mean how much he has been working. His strength, speed, agilities, and all of his base stats are quite a bit better than they would have been anyways, obviously. So I mean, bro is easily gonna be anywhere in the top 5 instead of being in like 219 as he originally was. So there would be no reason for Kikoru to make any kind of fun about him, because of the fact that he's literally easily one of the strongest people there. I'm probably going to say that he would probably still be like a little bit under her, but not by much, due to the fact of her having all of these abilities from quite a while and knowing how to use them way better than he does. So it is just still one of those things where he just hasn't been able to get to the correct point in time yet. And once we get to the aptitude portion of the exam, Vice Captain Hibino would actively still say, oh yeah, this time the exam is going to be having to like just kaiju eliminate. So Kafka would be chilling. He would be perfectly fine because he actually understands his strength this time and has quite a bit more strength that he can use to his own convenience. So it's not going to be him having to be worried about like keeping his like kaiju portion in. He is perfectly fine. So once they put on the suits for the defense force suits with like the kaiju armor and like the kaiju like membranes and whatever, this time around, instead of Kafka being only able to use 0.00% of it, he is right under Hibino with around like a good solid like 40%, where I think hers was like 45 or something. He's able to use around 40% of it, which is far higher than anybody else. Everyone is surprised that they have these 2 monster powerhouses on their team right now, and Kafka's only going to be growing. As once the exam actually starts, Kafka and Reno just basically are working together, teaming up the entire time and easily just dealing with a lot of kaijus, like Kafka being right there at second place in terms of kaiju eliminations. And eventually he would also understand that this is something about teamwork, so he would work on being a team with everybody else, because he still obviously understands how all of these kaiju works extremely well. So he would give hints to everybody, kind of just upping his points by quite a little bit, and still being easily the second person right behind Hibino that's getting all of these kaiju eliminations, and he's not really needing any help whatsoever. He is so easily able to manage this that it is absolutely hilarious, honestly. And the something that everybody else would notice in the defense force, like Vice Captain Hibino, would be that during the entirety of the thing, since Kafka's actually doing some battles right now, he's leveling up, meaning his strength and like abilities are kind of also leveling up alongside with him. So the fact that they're noticing this also means that during and throughout this match, every time Kafka's actually like doing any kind of battle and get some kills, his like not like his entire level grows, but like since his stats are kind of rising alongside with him during this, since he's actually having some battle experience, they notice that the percentage that he's able to like utilize is also increasing little by little. Instead of it being from 40 when he started, it goes to 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, eventually even getting to the point where it is like matching up with Hibino and everybody surprised, because like that's not normal. You being able to like grow that rapidly is obviously not something that anybody's able to do on any normal occasion. Due to Kafka leveling up a little bit throughout this, he would probably have few allocated stat points, so like unallocated stat points, so he would most likely just allocate them into strength as soon as he figures out that there's a Honju in the area that is a little too much to anybody else to deal with. So he would make sure to get to that place. Instead of turning Kaiju this time around, he would just put his stats into the strength and go straight there and take it out the same way by himself without going Kaiju. And everyone would understand that it was him this time around. There wouldn't be really any big concern besides the fact that this kid, knowing that this kid is absolutely incredibly strong for no reason. And since Kafka wouldn't have been injured at all in the same way that he was in canon, there would be not really any need for him to end up in the hospital the same way. So Mina would just probably go find them somewhere else and thank them that way. It would be a very better situation because Kafka was actually able to do quite a bit this time around. So she would just basically maybe tell him like good job or something like that, and not really anything too much like to really say anything besides that, since he still has just barely started. But it would then be a situation where obviously Kafka this time isn't just accepted as a cadet, and he's accepted as a full-fledged member because of how strong he was and how overwhelmingly helpful he's just been. And obviously I still see Kafka being an absolute buffoon, and while they're at like their entrance ceremony, like about them all being entered in, he would probably still say some dumbness about, oh yeah, Mina, I will join you eventually, I'm getting you closer. And obviously this would still lead him to having to do 100 push-ups, but this time around he just speed runs them, and everybody's noticing that this guy is just like doing this like it isn't even a problem, which it isn't for him at this point. Like no one would even be calling him like old man, like because they all like know that he's fairly much older than they are, but he doesn't even look like that much older than them at this point. Like he basically looks just quite a bit older than, not like the same, like a little old that he used to normally be. Now 2 months later, when they have their marksman training, Kafka would be even a little more stronger than this. He's had some actual combat experience, and he's actually been able to train full-heartedly with other people that have some decent experience, especially like with Kaiju No and like Reno. Him being able to have this basically lets him be able to kind of have some sparring partners that are allowing him to like level up even more. So instead of it being only where he's obviously like at 1% being able to like export, like actually like input into his suit, he's already getting and pushing close to 60, being well higher than anybody else would even be able to fathomably reach in this short amount of time. His growth rate is absolutely insane, and the fact that he's even able to do this is absolutely hilarious to everybody. I am going to say this now because I haven't mentioned it before. There is no shadow mark system in this. He's not going to have any of that abilities because I just didn't really see the reason for that to make any possible sense in this. It just wouldn't add up, and I didn't really see a reason to add this in here. And when it comes to their first time actually in battle in their first mission, this time around Kafka would be an absolute godsend for everybody. Him being so strong would be a very big help because he is cleaning house so quickly compared to everybody else. Him and Kaiju No were basically just the top two operators dealing with so much, and Kafka is still leagues above everybody else. When it comes to him actively doing quite a bit, obviously he's going to be still very useful, but I honestly still see him probably like just figuring out what their core is, so it kind of just makes his job a lot easier, and he would relay this to everybody else, kind of showing that he's still useful on multiple fronts. And he would still see Mina shoot out the blasts on that big giant Hoju that was basically gonna cause havoc anyways, and he sees how strong she has become. When we get to something like the humanoid kaiju, Kafka would most likely honestly deal with that relatively the exact same way. His strength at this exact moment would be very similar to his Kaiju number 8 strength. So I just see him still knocking the head clean off that Kaiju and relatively doing almost the exact same level of effort, exact same level of strength, but being able to take complete credit for it and being able to get the people to truly even respect him even more, which I honestly see would most likely cause a situation situation where them understanding that he is so valuable and he is so strong would give him his own personalized suit and weapons that he would be able to use, which I'm gonna say this only for now because of the fact of he would literally just choose the exact suit, and like I see them possibly even giving him like a numbered suit, a numbered weapon, mainly due to the fact of it being a situation where he can choose which one would be the best fit for him. I see the system literally giving him, once he sees all the choices, telling him which one would be the best for which specific attribute, and he chooses which suit he thinks would rock with him the best, and he chooses the weapon that the system kind of helps him create for the best maneuverability for him. He would have obviously seen Vice Captain Hibino's abilities and what he's able to do, so I see a situation where they kind of work together, not like work together, but he kind of gets something that he feels would be better for him. Probably just grabbing two daggers to keep up with his speed that he's been putting a lot of his stats into anyways, because he wanted to make sure he's fast and strong and has good agility, which would make the most sense. Now, I'm just going to skip all the way over to where the next real main event would be going on, which would be the Wyvern Incident. And this time around, Kafka already having his own personalized suit and weapons would be dominating. He would have told everybody how Wyverns operate and the fact that there's probably going to be a strong leader somewhere around here. So they would already all be on the lookout for that. And Kafka would just be wiping the floor with almost all of these people. Obviously, this time around, Vice Captain Hibino would probably still be very, very like on the fence and start having like little problems dealing with this strong actual like Yoju that like is there. But Kafka being well stronger than anything that he normally would have been, is able to hop in and be a very strong help for everybody, to the point that he's almost actively fighting it on very equal footings in all fairness. And eventually, when like he's about to basically explode and turn into a bomb, Kafka's able to deal with that, obviously to the dismay of everybody else because of the fact that he's basically putting himself in danger for no reason. But he would be able to run through it, jump all the way up to the bomb, and take the bomb out the exact same way without causing any real big like panic because of the fact that he just transformed into a kaiju. Obviously, this probably would just lead him into getting a promotion fairly fast, due to the fact that he is now easily one of the strongest people in the entirety of the Defense Force agency. And this would just cause an entire like uproar in the fact that this is a rookie superhero-esque person that is well stronger than anybody they have ever seen. And the amount of strength that he's been able to push in through the entire time that he's been going would just be absolutely insane. Now, this is where I'm going to stop the video because I just really wanted to do where the anime starts, because one, like where the anime stops, and I might honestly like do a more in-depth video later on, or I might continue in doing the manga and like turn this into a two-parter if you guys want me to do that. But please tell me what you guys think about this in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you guys can get caught up with all the latest videos, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.